This episode begins with Hadis and Jill. He declares that he cannot tolerate betrayal disguised as allegiance. Richard inquires, "Is the rumor about your magic being sealed accurate?" Akbid confirms, "Indeed, my strength has diminished. But understand this. I hold my wife in high regard, and surrender is not a possibility." As the Dragon King attempts his departure, Jill delivers a swift kick. "Your condescending tone is infuriating," she scolds. Hadis bristles, but Jill continues, a playful lilt in her voice. "Who else would have the audacity to kick your majesty? Just communicate with them respectfully. A peaceful resolution is achievable." She adds, "Prince Ristiard has been searching relentlessly for you, consumed with worry." Ristiard's temper flares, but Jill silences him, urging a gentler approach. "He's simply wary of strangers," she explains with a mischievous grin, "like a large, unruly canine." "A dog?" Ristiard snaps. "Surely you can conjure a more fitting analogy." Jill chuckles. "Oh, don't be so cross. You're a compassionate king at heart." Ristiard then ponders Jill's marriage to Hadis. How did this union come to pass? He muses. Did he coerce her? Strike some peculiar bargain? Jill interrupts his internal debate. "Your Highness, I entered this marriage willingly. There were no threats whatsoever. Safeguarding and pleasing His Majesty is my wifely obligation." Hadis beams at her affectionate words. Later, Jill appeals to Princess Nazaya and Prince Ristiard for assistance. "Even as half-siblings, you are members of the Empire. I find it astonishing that you stand idly by while this impostor emperor runs rampant." Naisha retorts sharply, "Refrain from such careless pronouncements. Everyone has their own unique circumstances and responsibilities. Cease your naive behavior." Jill fires back. "Naive? The naivety lies with you, Nijia. Consider the repercussions if His Majesty's presence here in neutral territory is revealed." Before Nazia can reply, Jill swiftly commands Zeke and Camellia to apprehend and restrain everyone present. "Remain still," she cautions, "or your heads will roll before reinforcements arrive." Maintaining her composure, Jill poses the question, "So, where does your loyalty lie, with His Majesty or the false emperor?" Suddenly, someone bursts in, reporting a critical incident. Jill's vigilance momentarily lapses, and the other princess seizes the opportunity to grab her. The situation rapidly deteriorates, leaving the guards bewildered. Hadis is concealed just as another guard enters, proclaiming, "Emperor Jorg is setting the town ablaze. He received intelligence that the impostor is hiding here." The pandemonium reaches its peak with the arrival of the majestic dragon. Prince Ristiard declares he will manage the northern front, while his sister combats the inferno. Hadis, however, interjects, "Extinguishing the flames is my domain." Employing Ravi's water magic, he quenches the fire, leaving everyone astounded. The master dragon wielding water magic? What manner of power is this? Is this the true might of the Dragon Emperor? They marvel. The following morning finds Jillian and Hadis amidst the ruins of the village. Ance Ristiard approaches, reporting, "They've hoisted a crimson banner bearing a black dragon, the emblem of the Emperor's personal guard." Thankfully, the evacuation was swift, resulting in no casualties. However, the fields are scorched and the houses reduced to ashes. "My sister is already initiating the castle's reconstruction. I intend to join your cause." Hadis begins to say restart, but Hadis corrects him. "Your grandfather, Duke Learsatz, will surely object." Ristiard shrugs. "We may be a ducal house, but our duty isn't to defend the empire. Furthermore, my elder brother's fate wasn't your burden to bear. The more pressing matter is the peculiar information circulating recently." At that moment, Princess Nazia appears. Ristiard informs her, "I've chosen to align myself with Hadis. My resolve is unwavering." She regards him with a mixture of relief and anticipation, as if awaiting this declaration. She then leans towards Hadis, whispering, "There's someone eager to meet you, currently residing here under my protection. Her name is Faris, the first princess of Kredos. As a gesture of peace, a betrothal has been proposed between her and—" Hadis scoffs. A truly amusing jest. The scene transitions to their residence, where Jill is visibly distressed by Hadis' undisclosed plans. "Do you intend to sacrifice me for this?" she asks anxiously. Hadis reassures her, "Never. You are my chosen bride. No other is fit to be the dragon's consort." Just then, Faris enters, introducing herself and warmly greeting Jill as Hadis' betrothed. "My elder brother once informed me of our supposed engagement," she remarks playfully, "but it appears you evaded him." Jill, taken aback, inquires, "So, do you object to this arrangement or not?" Faris responds calmly, I've never objected. In fact, I quite anticipated it. Had you wed the Emperor, I would have regarded you as my elder sister. Hades interjects curtly, you will not marry me. You will marry within Kratos. Faris smirks. Kratos views me as nothing more than a pawn. Upon reaching 14, they intend to manipulate me, stripping me of my individuality. I have 6 years remaining to sever the threads of fate that bind Kratos and Ravi. Ryuutei quickly grasps her intent. You wish to utilize a marriage to Hades to accomplish this, correct? Faris confirms, I awaited my brother's departure, knowing he would search for me. Princess Nizia expresses concern. You are still frail and far too young for such political maneuvering. Faris dismisses this. I plan to announce my engagement to Emperor Hades immediately. Ryuutei intervenes. Such an action would brand Hades as a traitor to his empire. The people of Garin and their territories would never forgive him. He then addresses Faris directly. Regarding our uncle, I doubt he will permit you to marry in such a weakened state. He supports Prince Gerald, and that support will vanish the instant you proceed. Princess Nisha adds, should Hades accept Faris's proposal, I will pledge my allegiance, but she remains too young for this type of union. Faris replies coldly, love is irrelevant in such matters. Exasperated, Hades interrupts, I've indulged this charade long enough. I refuse to hear another word. He lifts Jill into his arms and turns to leave. At that moment, Lauren intercepts them. Hades, he says, the Imperial forces have issued a statement regarding the city fire. The targeted nobles are growing desperate and will soon demand answers. Prolonging this situation only empowers the enemy. Even victory will come at a steep price. Hades remains resolute. I will not consent to this. Not now, not ever. Jill intervenes, urging Hades, we must capitalize on this opportunity. Princess Nizia will rally her dragon knights. A decision must be made to minimize casualties and navigate this predicament. This is our only recourse, as they are relying on Princess Faris. Hades is stunned, feeling as though Jill is bartering him to Faris. Jill soothes him, imploring him not to be distressed. Simply decline the engagement. But why deny her the chance to win your favor? He finally discerns Jill's strategy, leveraging Princess Faris's name to resolve the conflict. Jill clarifies, Princess Faris aims to improve relations between our nations, which led her to seek Princess Nizia's assistance. This is the genesis of this entire debacle. She met with His Majesty and requested his cooperation. Naturally, the subject of matrimony arose. The Emperor and Princess are meant to fall in love, but I won't let her have you. I'll challenge her directly if necessary. Faris accepts the challenge, confident that Kratos' forces would rescue her even if surrounded by warships. The sole complication is her brother, who would be enraged if he believed she was being held captive. Faris then instructs Lawrence to commence preparations, excuses herself, and asks Jill to attend to Emperor Hades. When Jill calls out to Hades, he assures her, I have no desire to marry Princess Faris, not even in rumor. This exasperates Jill, who commands, listen, you are forbidden from interacting with Faris without just cause. Defy me, and I'll bundle you in a blanket and dangle you from the window. She then adds, now I must attend to the Dragon Knights. Estate smiles. I've decided to remain by your side even after you turn 14. My loyalty is unwavering. Return safely, and I'll have garlic butter chicken strips awaiting you. Dessert will be baked pudding with whipped cream. Heartened by his words, Jill departs, her mind filled with his promises. She's overjoyed by his commitment to stay with her, never abandoning her till later. Hades is found in the kitchen preparing dinner. Ravi remarks, after all this, you're the one cooking. What about your half-siblings? Hades explains, they're concealing my identity so I can work undisturbed in the Dragon Knight's barracks. A cook asks Hades for further instructions. Hades tells him to begin frying. Ryuutei enters, observing, quite the emperor, serving as head chef for his Dragon Knights. He samples Hades's cooking, impressed. I was unaware of your culinary enthusiasm. Hades grins. Idleness would only fuel Jill's suspicions of infidelity. Working here keeps her doubts at bay. Princess Nizia arrives, stating, the entire Ravid imperial family convening in the kitchen. However, I bear good tidings. We've contacted Vissel. He's deeply concerned about you and your younger sister. Ryuutei is relieved. With the imperial family secure, only clandestine preparations and a swift resolution remain. Vissel's support is also guaranteed. Ryuutei responds, Vissel is betrothed to our cousin's daughter. I have reservations about relying on him, particularly with our army's mobilization imminent. The scene changes to Jill conversing with Lawrence. He comments, you're diligent. By the way, where's Zeke? Jill answers, Zeke is training, as is expected of a Dragon Knight student. Is there something you wish to discuss? Lawrence reveals, we've established contact with Crown Prince Vessel. Once the troops are assembled, he'll disclose the Emperor and Princess's location and demand Princess George's release. Jill replies, if Prince Vissel betrays us, everything will crumble. I've heard the Emperor and his elder brother are in complete accord, but my allegiance lies first and foremost with His Majesty. Lawrence observes, you seem to have anticipated this possibility. It piques my curiosity. Jill counters, you chose to serve under my command, so I'll be forthright. However, any action against His Majesty will have dire consequences. The conversation shifts when a young knight becomes agitated upon discovering his assignment to launder men's undergarments. He accuses Jill, exclaiming, this is blatant harassment. Who ordered this? We should report this to the Emperor. Jill responds calmly, informing His Majesty would only escalate the situation. The boy retorts, those who provoke the Emperor face retribution. That's the natural order. Jill attempts to de-escalate the situation. Learning of my mistreatment would grieve and enrage His Majesty. He might resort to ruling through fear. Regardless of the outcome, appeasing him would prove challenging. He's a skilled cook, you see. The boy declares, I'll enlist Zeke's aid. Whoever subjected you to this will face consequences. Jill returns home to find Hadis weeping. She asks, what troubles you? Hadis cries, they said a young dragon knight, someone you're courting, assisted you. I believed I shouldn't burden you with my concerns, striving for impeccable purity. But you were unfaithful. I refuse to hear your justifications. He retreats to his room, leaving Jill bewildered. He mutters, this is escalating into a childish squabble. Exasperated, Jill snaps, cease your sarcastic commentary. Help me pacify him. Camilla adds, overcomplicating matters will only hinder you. Jill enters Hades's room and insists, there is nothing between Lawrence and me. If another woman aided His Majesty in a similar situation, I wouldn't object. You threatened to wrap me in a blanket and hang me out the window, but I'd never do that to you. I'd swing you instead. Inwardly, she thinks, if His Majesty were forced to launder women's clothing, murder would be the only recourse. Hadid finally confesses, I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about. You're terrifying me. I apologize for my childish outburst. Later, Hadis apologizes again, jesting, at least it wasn't dull. Now rumors of your romantic involvement are spreading. Jill laughs and apologizes in return, saying, let's begin anew from the moment you lamented my supposed betrayal. I don't mind indulging you, but within reason. Hadis grins. There's no guarantee your adversary will adhere to your plan. You alter your strategy because you recognize impending defeat. Now, I demand the full account. Jill sighs. Will you behave if I tell you? The truth is, some of the Dragon Knights are harassing me, and when that happens, murder becomes the only viable solution.